1 Kings 14. At that time, Abijah, son of Jeroboam, became sick. Jeroboam said to his wife, "Go disguise yourself so they won't know that you're Jeroboam's wife, and go to Shiloh. The prophet Ahijah is there." It was he who told about becoming king over the people. Take with you 10 loaves of bread, some cake, and a jar of honey, and go to him. He will tell you what will happen to the boy. Jeroboam's wife did that. She went to Shiloh and arrived at Ahijah's house. Ahijah could not see. He was blind due to his age. But the Lord had said to Ahijah, "Jeroboam's wife is coming soon to ask you about her son, for he is sick. You are to say such to her. When she arrives, she will be disguised." When Ahijah heard the sound of her feet entering the door, he said, "Come in, wife of Jeroboam. Why are you disguised? I have bad news for you. Go tell Jeroboam, this is what the Lord God of Israel says. I raised you up from among the people, appointed you ruler over my people Israel, tore the kingdom away from the house of David, and gave it to you. But you were not like my servant David, who kept my commands and followed me with all his heart, doing only what is right in my sight. You behaved more wickedly than all who were before you, in order to anger me. You have proceeded to make for yourself other gods and cast images, but you have flung me behind your back. Because of all this, I'm about to bring disaster to the house of Jeroboam. I will wipe out all of Jeroboam's males, both slave and free, in Israel. I will sweep away the house of Jeroboam as one sweeps away dung until it is all gone. Anyone who belongs to Jeroboam and dies in the city, the dogs will eat, and anyone who dies in the field, the birds will eat. For the Lord has spoken. As for you, get up and go to your house. When your feet enter the city, the boy will die. All Israel will mourn for him and bury him. He alone out of Jeroboam's house will be given a proper burial, because out of the house of Jeroboam something favorable to the Lord God of Israel was found in him. The Lord will raise up from himself a king over Israel, who will wipe out the house of Jeroboam. This is the day, yes, even today, for the Lord will strike Israel so that they will shake as a reed shakes in water. He will uproot Israel from this good soil that gave to their ancestors. He will scatter them beyond the Euphrates, because they made their Asherah poles, angering the Lord. He will give up Israel because of Jeroboam's sin that he committed and caused Israel to commit. Then Jeroboam's wife got up and went to Tirzah. As she was crossing the threshold of the house, the boy died. He was burned, and all Israel burned for him, according to the word of the Lord he had spoken. Though his servant the prophet Ahijah, as for the rest of the event of Jeroboam's reign, how he wagged war, and how he reigned, not note that they are written in the historical records of Israel's kings. The length of Jeroboam's reign was 22 years. He rested with his ancestors, and his son Nadab became king in his place. Now Rehoboam, Solomon's son, reigned in Judah. Rehoboam was 41 years old when he became king. He reigned 70 years in Jerusalem, the city where the Lord has chosen from all the tribes of Israel to put his name. Rehoboam's mother's name was Naamah, an Ammonite. Judah did what was evil in the Lord's sight. They provoked him to jealous anger more than all their ancestors had done with the sins they committed. They also built themselves high places, scattered pillars and Asherah poles on every high hill and under every green tree. There were even male cult prostitutes in the land. They imitated all the descendants' practices and nations the Lord had dispossessed before the Israelites. In the 50 years of King Rehoboam, King Shishak of Egypt went to war against Jerusalem. He seized the treasuries of the Lord's temple and the treasuries of the royal palace. He took everything. He took all the gold shields that Solomon had made. King Rehoboam made bronze shields to replace them and committed them into the care of the captains of the guards who protected the entrance of the king's palace. Whenever the king entered the Lord's temple, the guards would carry the shield when they would take them back to the armory. The rest of the events of Rehoboam reigned, along with all his accomplishments, are written about in the historical records of Judah's kings. There was war between Rehoboam and Jeroboam throughout their reign. Rehoboam rested with his ancestors and was buried with his ancestors in the city of David. His mother's name was Naamah, the Ammonite. His son Abijam became king in his place.
1 Kings 15. In the 18th year of Israel, King Jeroboam, son of Nebat, Abijam became king over Judah, and he regained 3 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name was Maacah, daughter of Abisham. Abisham walked in all the sins of his father before him had commanded, and he was not wholehearted, devoted to the Lord his God, as his ancestor David has been. But for the sake of David, the Lord his God gave him a lamp in Jerusalem by rising up his son after him, and by providing Jerusalem for David did not did what was right in the Lord's sight, and he did not turn aside from anything he had commanded all the days of his life, except in the matter of Uriah the Hittite. Therefore, there had been war between Rehoboam and Jerusalem all the days in Rehoboam's life. The rest of the events of Abijam's reign, along with all his accomplishments, they are written in the historical records of Judah's king. There was also war between Abijam and Jeroboam. Abijam rested in his ancestors and was buried in the city of David, and his son Asa became king in his place. In the 20th year of Israel's king Jeroboam, Asa became king of Judah, and he reigned 41 years in Jerusalem. His grandmother's name was Maachah, daughter of Abishalom. Asa did what was right in the Lord's sight, as his ancestor David has done. He banished the male cult prostitutes from the land and removed all the idols that his ancestor had made. He also removed his grandmother Maachah from being queen mother because she had made an obscene image of Asherah. Asa chopped down her obscene image and burned it in the Kidron Valley, and the high places were not taken away. But Asa was wholeheartedly devoted to the Lord his entire life. He brought his father's contrite gift and his own constricted gift into the Lord's temple, silver, gold, and utensils. There was war between Asa and the king Baasha of Israel throughout their regions. Israel's king Baasha went to war against Judah. He built a Ramah in order to keep anyone from leaving or coming to King Asa of Judah. So Asa withdrew all the silver and gold that remained in the treasuries of the Lord's temple and the treasuries of the royal palace, and gave it to his servants. Then King Asa sent them to Ben-Hadad, son of Tabarimon, son of Hizion, king of Aram, who lived in Damascus, saying, "There is a treaty between me and you, between my father and your father. There, look, I have sent you a gift of silver and gold. Go and break your treaty with King Baasha of Israel, so that he will withdraw from me." Ben-Hadad listened to King Asa and sent the commanders of his armies against the city of Israel. He attacked Ijon, Dan, Abatheth, Maachah, all Canrith, and the whole land of Naphtali. When Baasha heard about it, he quit building the Ramah and stayed in Tirzah. Then King Asa gave a command to everyone without exception in Judah, and they carried away the stone of Ramah and the timber. And the timbers Baasha had built with it. Then King Asa built Geba of Benjamin and Mizpah with them. The rest of all the events of Asa's region, along with all his might and all his accomplishments and all the cities he built, was written in the historical records of Judah's king. But in his old age, he developed a disease in his feet. Then Asa rested with his ancestors, and was buried in the city of his ancestor David. His son Jehoshaphat became king in his place. Nabad, son of Jeroboam, became king over Israel in the 2nd year of Judah's king Asa. He regained over Israel 2 years. Nabad did what was evil in the Lord's sight and walked in the ways his father and the sin he had caused Israel to commit. Then Baasha, son of Ahijah of the house of Issachar, conspired against Nabad, and Baasha struck him down at Gibeah of the Philistines, while Nadbah and Baasha struck down the Philistines, while Nadbah and all Israel were besieging Gibeah in the 3rd year of Judah's king Asa. Baasha killed Nadbah and regained in his place and region in his place. When Baasha became king of Israel, he struck down the entire house of Jeroboam. He did not leave Jeroboam any survivors, but destroyed his family record to the word of the Lord, and he spoke through his servant Ahijah the Shilonite. This was because Jeroboam had angered the Lord God of Israel by the sins he had committed and caused Israel to commit. The rest of the events of Nabal's region, along with all his accomplishments, are written in the historical record of Israel's king. There was war between Asa and King Baasha of Israel throughout their region. In the 3rd year of Judah's king Asa, Baasha, son of Ahijah, became king over all Israel, and he regained in Tisra 44 years, and he did what was evil in the Lord's sight and walked in the ways of Jeroboam and the sins he had caused Israel to commit.
1 Kings chapter 16. Now the word of the Lord came to Jehu, son of Hanani, against Baasha, because I raised you up from the dust and made you ruler over my people Israel. But you have walked in the ways of Jeroboam, and have caused my people Israel to sin, angering me with their sins. Take note, I will eradicate Baasha and his house, and I will make your house like the house of Jeroboam, son of Nebat. Anyone who belongs to Baasha and dies in the city, the dogs will eat, and anyone who is his and dies in the field, the birds will eat. The rest of the events of Baasha's reign, along with all his accomplishments and might, are written in the historical records of Israel's king. Baasha rested with his ancestors and was buried in Tirzah. His son Elah became king in his place. But through the prophet Jehu, son of Hanani, the word of the Lord also had come against Baasha and against his house because of all the evil he had done in the Lord's sight. His actions angered the Lord, and Baasha's house became like the house of Jeroboam because he had struck it down. In the 26 years of Judah's king Asa, Elah, son of Baasha, became king over Israel, and he reigned in Tirzah 2 years. His servant Zimri, commander of half his chariots, conspired against him while Elah was in Tirzah getting drunk in the house of Arza, who was in charge of the household in Tirzah. In the 27th year of Judah's king Asa, Zimri went in and struck Elah down, killing him. Then Zimri became king in his place. While he became king, as soon as he was seated on his throne, Zimri struck down the entire house of Baasha. He did not leave a single male, including his kinsmen and his friends. So Zimri destroyed the entire house of Baasha. According to the word of the Lord, he had spoken against Baasha through the prophet Jehu. This happened because of all the sins of Baasha and those of his son Elah, which they committed and caused Israel to commit, angering the Lord God of Israel with their worthless idols. The rest of the events of Elah's reign, along with all his accomplishments, are written in the historical record of Israel's kings. In the 27th year of Judah, King Asa, Zimri became king of 7 days in Tirzah. Now the troops were encamped against Gibbethon of the Philistines. When these troops heard that Zimri had not only conspired, but had also struck down the king, then all Israel made Omri, the army commander, king over Israel that very day in the camp. Omri, along with all Israel, marched up from Gibbethon and besieged Tirzah. When Zimri saw that the city was captured, he entered the citadel of the royal palace and burned it down over himself. He died because of the sin he committed by doing what was evil in the Lord's sight and by walking in the way of Jeroboam and the sin he caused Israel to commit. The rest of the events of Zimri's reign, along with the conspiracy that he instigated, are written in the historical records of Israel's kings. At that time, the people of Israel were divided. Half the people followed Tibni, son of Ginath, to make him king, and half followed Omri. However, the people who followed Omri proved stronger than those who followed Tibni, son of Ginath. So Tibni died, and Omri became king. In the 31st year of Judah's king Asa, Omri became king over Israel, and he reigned 12 years. He reigned 6 years in Tirzah. Then he bought the hill of Samaria from Shemer for 150 pounds of silver, and he built up the hill. He named the city of the built Samaria based on the name Shemer and the owner of the hill. Omri did what was evil in the Lord's sight, and he did more evil than all who were before him. He walked in all the ways of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, and in every respect, and continued in his sins that he caused Israel to commit, angering the Lord God of Israel with their worthless idols. The rest of the events of Omri reigned, along with his accomplishments and the might he exercised, are written in the historical records of Israel's king. Omri rested with his ancestors and was buried in Samaria. His son Ahab became king in his place. Ahab, son of Omri, became king over Israel in the 38th year of Judah's king Asa. Ahab, son of Omri, reigned over Israel in Samaria 22 years, but Ahab, son of Omri, did what was evil in the Lord's sight more than all who were before him. Then, as if following the sin of Jeroboam, son of Nebat, were not enough, he married Jezebel, the daughter of Ethbaal, king of the Sidonians, and then proceeded to serve Baal and bow in worship to him. He set up an altar for Baal in the temple of Baal that he had built in Samaria. Ahab also made an Asherah pole. Ahab did more to anger the Lord God of Israel than all the kings of Israel who were before him. During his reign, Hiel the Bethelite built Jericho at the cost of Abiram, his firstborn. He laid its foundations, and at the cost of Segub, his youngest, he finished its gates according to the word of the Lord he had spoken through Joshua, son of Nun.